Anand, I want to go back to the point that was being made by each one of you, that what is now being seen is that the celebrity investors do have skin in the game. It's not just a passive investment anymore, at least not for the ones that you're associated with. Now, explain the economics of how this works to me, because if there is a brand endorsement deal, then, it's for a certain period, there's a certain amount attached to it. If it's not sweat equity, how does the IRR work on a deal like this? Let's take the MS Dhoni Shaka Harry Association, for example.
Shereen, deals, I think, are quite individual, right? In terms of how you see them play between where the organization is, which round you are, how mature the company is, and how late in the growth cycle or early. I mean, in our case, I think in less than a year, we actually approached Mahi's office and asked whether they'd partner with us, because something unique in terms of where we were was the concept of what we were doing was new. Right, and we needed someone like him to come in and stand behind the cause, stand behind the purpose in terms of where we and what we're building. Now, when you start looking at those deals, I think creating value in that partnership in terms of finding people that you can share both purposes and create a valuable engagement is typically what we're looking at, right? And there are lots of levers. I mean, unlike very traditional financial investors, with celeb investors, yes, there are a lot of levers, but it's I think it's left to the imagination of both the entrepreneurs and the celebrities that you're working with. And with Mahi, it's been an absolute, it's been a joy run for us, right? I mean, we now sit down and talk about product. He has inputs in terms of saying, hey, listen, what should our product portfolio look like, and what should our messaging look like?
So he's involved. He's involved not just with strategy, but even with product.
Yes. So when we sit down and meet, he has questions in terms of saying where traction is, right? He has inputs for us that says, hey, why don't you consider these kind of additions in your product? And something that we met the last time, and he's like, hey, listen, what's your fiber content? Now, something as technical as talking about that on a product level, it makes it a far more meaningful engagement when you start finding people that you can work with. And it's not just strategic, but it's a very deep relationship that goes for a long time.
Okay. Param, I just want to take that point forward, what we heard there from Anand. In Anand's case, you're actually creating a new category, and perhaps bringing celebrity influence on board helps with the category creation. In a segment like yours, where there is a fair amount of competition as well, it perhaps helps to bring a celebrity on board in terms of customer acquisition. Is that one of the primary reasons why you would get into an arrangement like this?
So Shereen, there were multiple reasons for us to bring in Kajal on board. It was definitely as a category, it's a highly competitive and a cluttered category. But because we are very uniquely positioned in Ayurveda, we also wanted someone who motivates and comes from the southern part of the country where Ayurveda has been predominantly very strong. And an actor who's worked, say, for 16 plus years, and she was very young when she started her journey. So, and there it really made sense that, the effort she has put in to build Kajal as a brand would obviously also help us build TAC as a brand. A lot of learnings will come in. She herself is very motivated. She worked, tremendously with us when we were launching this Kajal by Kajal. She brings in a lot of, knowledge of how do we integrate beauty products in, say, her movies or any other collaboration which we look forward when we are doing with, various other celebrities. Because going forward as a brand, we would have to collaborate for, from younger generation celebrities, Bollywood, Tollywood, multiple categories, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of knowledge comes in, a lot of network comes in, a lot of network access comes in. By being a celebrity, she has been a user of beauty, makeup, wellness forever, right? So a lot of her experience of particularly also is utilized in, during product development phase, that how do we bring out unique formulations of Ayurveda for this young generation. So, that's why we feel that, it's a great partnership to have, that when, driven celebrities are coming in, definitely, it makes sense for them to have additional source of income going forward, but it adds a lot of value specifically to a beauty brand like us.
Speaking of adding value, Vedang, and to the point that was being made there by both Anand as well as Param, what about the fear of commoditization? I mean, these are celebrities. Sara Ali Khan is endorsing a whole bunch of other brands, for instance, as well. In the mind of the consumer, is there a fear of clutter, commoditization as well, for you to then bring her on board and have this deep strategic partnership evolve?
No, absolutely. I think that's always something that the consumer does fear. In fact, very few partnerships seem authentic today. A lot of them do seem like, okay, just gave a lot of money and that person just did what or spoke what they were supposed to. The difference is that you have to find the right celebrity who matches your brand perfectly. And very few people and brands do this. I feel the authenticity of perfect match ads does make a winning combination, else a lot of these partnerships don't work. But for us, Sara Ali Khan was first an investor and then a brand endorser. So the equation was very different. I think for the way we thought about it is that she liked the brand so much. The business was doing well. I think she's right now pretty much in also multiples of her investment. And then we thought that, she does resonate with the youth. She is an icon. She's an aspirational figure, and the kind of merchandise that we do goes really well with her. And then, for me, the proof of the pudding is when we put a product on Sara Ali Khan and versus a regular model, the sales on Sara Ali Khan are just fundamentally much better. The click-through rates and all the metrics that e-commerce tracks are just super. So actually, she has recovered her money in just performance marketing before, without even counting about the aspirational value and the brand uplift that you get. And don't forget, India is very prone to hero worship, and especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the next avenue of growth. And people like Sara Ali Khan do help us, crack into that market.
Speaking of value, and Anand, I want to come back to you now. For all of the things that we just heard there from Vedang and Param as well, what are we talking about in terms of the kind of equity that companies like yours are willing to part with to get somebody like, Sara Ali Khan or Dhoni or any of these other celebrities that we've just spoken of on board?
See, Shereen, the percent, equity is basically a build of, again, the value that we're creating, right? I keep saying this to a lot of startups. We keep discussing this quite commonly, saying we shouldn't get stuck up on the percentage, right? I think Mark Cuban says it's best saying you want to have 100% of a lemon or 40% of a watermelon, right? So it's about how you're able to jointly create value. And I think for us from Shaka Harry, from where as early as we signed up with Mahi and got him on board, is about jointly creating value together. So it's not really about how much percentage, and I don't think you'd really find a single answer from someone says, hey, this is how much percentage. They're investors at the end of the day. They bring value, and it's commensurate with what they're bringing to the table.
Are they also bringing cash on board?
Yes. So they're bringing a lot of things, right? So they're bringing credibility, they're bringing cash, they're bringing connections, they're bringing a lot of attention for you. The kind of places where we're seeing uplifts, you have the obvious wins in terms of storefront, on store shelves with consumers. With someone like Mahi is an absolute win, right? Upfront, you will win that. But places where we're seeing a lot more that we probably wouldn't have guessed up front would have been in areas like recruitment, right? We're able to attract a lot of great industry talent coming, right? People just saying, because they've heard of they know that, and your intentions are also open. In the startup world, people want to know that they're going to back a company that's ambitious in terms of ready. And when you're bringing in someone like Mahi in, we're obligated to build something of significant value. So we're seeing a lot of uplifts in not just the consumer side, but even in the ecosystem itself.
And that's an important point, and let me bring that across to Param as well. As we just heard there from Anand, it's not just customer acquisition that the star power helps you with. It helps you build credibility, it helps you build trust, and it helps you even as far as bringing the right kind of talent is concerned. Param, given the experience that you've had now with Kajal Agarwal, is this something that you are leaning to do more of?
Absolutely. So as a strategy for us for the next round, so we are already in discussion with few other celebrities to join our journey. Our journey has been very interesting. That my wife is my co-founder, and she suffered through a very painful childhood, and because of that we entered into Ayurveda. We got solutions, and when we meet a lot of celebrities, though they have become celebrity, but they come from very normal backgrounds, right? And wherever we are finding that connection as well as their brand value, and it becomes a match, we are open for new people joining as shareholders for the brand and for the company which we are creating, right? So there are multiple discussions going on for our Series B, and typically, as you asked, Anand. So for us, Kajal also added cash, pure cash in the business, and we would structure something similar going for very strong believers. Just sweat equity does not bring in skin in the game, right? If they are willing to go to that distance, that they are putting their hard-earned money into the business, they would definitely work in parallel, in tandem with us, that how do we make it large, how do we make it big, and how do we make it right?
Okay.
So that's very clear that any celebrity or any has to be one strong believer of Ayurveda, strong face for the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 markets, and who comes in with a kind of a journey that we have also left.
Vedang, very quickly, Param, are you also in dialogue, in conversation with other celebrities to bring them on board as far as the Stole store is concerned? And in terms of the structure of these arrangements and these associations, what's been the big learning so far?
So we use them as financial investors first. There's no preferential treatment given to a celebrity as a financial investor versus an institute versus some of my friends and family who are angels. Because it's always important to separate the two parts, right? Everyone has different roles in the company. Their role as an investor and their rights as an investor are very different from their roles as a celebrity and their rights as a celebrity. And we love putting the two buckets separately. I think the moment you don't do that, it can get very muddled. You have to then...
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the complications that would happen in that scenario, right? Like if everyone's thinking about the amount of value that they add, it's pretty intangible, and then that becomes very separate. So they have to give money to have this investment, and just like any other investor, hopefully they get a good return on that.
Well, so ensure that you have a tangible structure in place, even as you value the intangible which the star power brings to the table. That's really the big lesson here from Anand, Param and Vedang. Skin in the game, not just passive investors, not just brand ambassadors. There has been an evolution, and we're likely to see much more of this play out in the startup ecosystem with celebrity investors coming on board. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on this edition of Young Turks. We wish you the very best of luck, and we look forward to speaking with you again. That's a wrap on this edition of Young Turks from all of us here on the team. Goodbye. Many thanks for watching. We're back in a moment with more.